Hey Internet, it's RJ. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning into the show today. Now, the months go by fast here. We're about to turn the calendar over to February, but before we do, we must do our Q&A as we always do to end the month. So you know the deal. Riddler goes up. You drop your questions down below, and then I just answer them in the order they came in. So we've got everything from my favorite credit card, my favorite hotel status, the Bank of, we're talking about the Bank of America issue where they basically lost your money, all that and more. Now I tend to go long here because I like to get everyone a thorough answer. Plus this is one of my favorite episodes to make. So chapters 2 will be down below. But without further ado, let's go ahead, press the subscribe button if you will, and let's get to work. Now, again, batting off and lead off here. Caesar checking in. He says, if you could only have one credit card, what would it be? I mean, it's going to have to be a cashback card. We took a look at the revenued business card before, maybe a week or two ago, and that was like a 3% card on everything. I don't think it's actually going to be sustainable for them. I don't have any insight. It seems like 3% on everything seems hard to do. It would probably, it's cliche, but it probably had to be something like a Freedom Flex. I feel like you get the most variety there. You still get your 3 back on dining, you get the drugstores, you get the rotating categories. If you need a little bit of travel, you can go through the travel portal. I don't use cell phone insurance. I have Apple Care. I don't even know if I really need it, honestly, but if I remove it, then I know I'm going to drop my phone, so I just keep it. Might be the best one. I'd say the City Custom Cash. I like that card, but it's too one track by design. So I think it's got to be the Freedom Flex. You could go the Freedom Unlimited if you don't care for categories spend, but yeah, I think that would have to be it just for variety's sake, and you have to employ a heavy gift card strategy. I think, but that could get the job done. Sledge Inc. How many cashback cards do you have? Coming from Mr. American Express, this man just went on a crazy travel spree himself, so you can check that out on his page. So how many cashback cards we're going to have to count? So I have 4 Freedom cards, 2 Freedom Flexes, 2 OG Freedoms. I have the Custom Cash. Put the phone down for this. I have the Double Cash. I have, how do you want to count? We could count the Ink Cash, and the Ink Unlimited is cashback cards right there. I have the Cash for US Bank Cash Plus card. I have the Huntington Bank Business Voice card. We're at 10. The rest of them I don't think I use as much, but I just got an Ink Premier that technically it could be cash back. I have a Wells Fargo card. I have a Bank of America business card, but I won't use those anymore, so I'd probably say safely like 10 that are like in the rotation. The rest that I've had and used, and if I won't use it again, I don't think it should count. And I'm going to get another Freedom Unlimited here shortly after Q1, so the list will go on, but I think that's it. If I messed up the total, I'll put a real total up there, but off the top of my head, we had to go to 2 hands. We didn't take any socks off though. So there's that. Jimmy James here. Are you ever concerned about so many banks having all your personal info, data breaches, etc.? Yes, but I think I've just come to accept it, honestly. You're right. When you sign up for so many accounts, primarily on the secondary channel, and it's really more so, your information, it doesn't really seem safe anywhere, because we just saw the Wells Fargo built rewards issue. Granted, they didn't get personal information. They got credit card numbers only, which is easy to say if you weren't affected, because I don't have the card. But yeah, especially when you get to some of these neo-banks and these fintech banks on the bank bonus side, where they want you to upload a driver's license, okay, which is not uncommon, but then they also want you to take a picture of yourself. Now, for me, I'm generally, you got 4 years of 4K footage of me on the internet, so my face doesn't really give you any. You could just go get that yourself if you wanted to. But yeah, I do. So right now, I have the credit monitoring from the Equifax data breach, the one provided by, I think, by Experian, that they're required to provide you for a year or 2, 3, or might be 3 years. That monitors all the agencies and stuff. I have it for free. Getting it for free, so it's not like a sponsored plug. I haven't checked out any of the other ones, but I will probably pay for it, because it'll monitor things opening, bank accounts. You can put in your driver's license, social security, passport number, all that. I'll probably pay for it afterwards, especially this, because I don't even think I'm that popular, but it still becomes some more of a target talking about this stuff as well. So I do get concerned. I just kind of see it as a necessary evil, and at this point, I don't know where your information is safe at, between not just banks, but your phone company, cable company. Everyone's exposed and getting hacked, and we've seen a lot of these places don't take security that serious, or they don't even know how or what they should be doing, so it sucks, but it seems like one of those things that we're maybe too comfortable with, but I don't know what other choice we have besides going off the grid. That makes sense. So yes, but what am I going to do about it? I guess is the answer. Blimp City, that's an interesting name. Is the Bank of America glitch an anomaly, or this generation's 1929 when the banks closed, or why cash is still necessary? So we're all talking the same language here. Bank of America, maybe a week or two ago, they had an issue where they basically just, like, lost people's money. I don't remember the full details. I'll put a story clip on screen for you. But basically, you could go into your account thinking you just got paid and there was no money there. And, okay, fine, issues happen. But the worst part, again, I have a Bank of America account, but I don't really use it that much, so I can't say that I was really affected. I didn't even check, honestly. But from what I understand, you have people who were like, hey, where's my money? And they would call, and Bank of America just like wouldn't answer the phone, which I can confirm. Bank of America has terrible, like, I called Merrill Lynch for something unrelated. I had to wait on hold for an hour, so that doesn't surprise me too much. And then people would go down to the branch, and the branch would be like, well, just come back later. I'm like, well, wait a minute, what's going on? So I think they really handled it poorly is the problem, because now granted, I know it's not the branch manager's fault, but again, you got to get a hold of corporate. Someone has to take charge that it has accountability for it and tell people what the plan is, because it's really more so the fact that, hey, if you've got ACHs for your car payment, mortgage payment, things like that, hitting the account, the money's not there, well, then now you got, insufficient funds fees with the other bank and things like that. So really what they should have done is assign someone to, a certain group of customers and make sure that they were made whole again. Because again, you can't just say, well, I had insufficient funds fees. If you can provide me the documentation, I should be able to make that credit you on the Bank of America. Because it's not Chase's fault. Chase's fault is like, yes, you were insufficient funds, but it's Bank of America's fault. They should have done something like that, honestly. Now, separately, though, I still think we need to carry cash. I still carry cash. And, it surprises people, which you should. At least like $100. I think I only have like $40 on me, but at least I think like $100 would be a good amount. And then I also think it's worth keeping cash around your house. Not large, gaudy sums of money, but because banks don't always act right, because sometimes there are issues, and, we're weird about money and the fact that if, the government can kind of just like lock down your funds if they wanted to, and you have to prove they're there. I'm not saying that's going to happen to most people, but yeah, you should still keep cash on hand for these very reasons. Bank of America should have done a better job at customer service and managing this, honestly. Glitches do happen, but that can't be your response to just come back later, right? That's the problem. All right, Doc, what do you like to do when you're not chasing bank bonuses or researching credit cards? I mean, this is mostly what I do between this or, working, doing the blog thing now, going around trying to find the other stories. But in general, I will I go to the gym every morning. I don't know if I'd say it's a hobby. It's just I'm vain, so I have to be on camera, right? So I do that every morning. On occasion, I'll play Xbox. I was playing Halo Infinite. I finally beat it on Legendary. It took me forever because that's not how I don't play a ton. But now I kind of was like, I need another game. So I was going to download one of the Gears of War games. Because normally, these games end up being discounted after the fact. But I was playing Gears 5. It was like still like $60 for like the one that comes with all DLC. I was like, I don't want to pay $60 for a game that's like 2 or 3 years old. So now I don't know what to do. I was also playing Mass Effect Legendary Edition. So now, I don't know. If you have any game recommendations, like shooters, I know there's Call of Duty, but again, like Call of Duty is like $60 right now. Just wait a few months and it'll be cheaper. So if you have any recommendations on that. But aside from that, I'm kind of like an internet person. I still watch tons of YouTube videos myself, just the funny ones or the tech reviews or things like that. And I'm usually on the computer, on the internet, looking at something, messing around with something, on occasion, video games. I don't go outside much. We already know that. At one point, I was trying to go to every single state. I think I made it to about half of them, but now I just have like the weird ones left. We're like, what do you even do there? So at some point, I should probably pick that up again, but I'm not super fun and interesting, but that's the best answer I got for you. Jeremy, friend of the show, guy who finds all of our stories, loves the end of the month. So now that we are almost into February, what is your top goals for Q2? What is the goal of this year? Waiting on new cards. So, I mean, my goal is still to build the best cashback setup I can. That's kind of what I've been trying to do. So I was at, I just got distracted a little bit. I had to get a new furnace for one of my houses. So that's where I picked up the Ink Premier to put that on, or Ink Preferred to put that bonus on it. But Before that, I just actually called into Chase to swap my Freedom Unlimited to the 4th Freedom card so I can get a Freedom Unlimited again for the bonus. I've got my Bank of America play I've talked about before. I've got that in motion. Have my money moving over to Bank of America, my 401k to an IRA. It'll make me platinum honors over there. So once that gets going, I think it takes 45 days for the promotion I signed up for them to review it. Then I can get going on those cards. And then, there's 3 cards over there worth getting: the customized cash. The Susan G. Komen one is basically the customized cash again, and then the unlimited cash rewards. So that's the goal. And then, of course, tracking through the bank bonus goals. So overall, I think I'm trying to get $25,000 from banks. So you're talking about here. As far as the channel goes, I've been working with an actual CPA, a guy who goes to my gym, about how to button everything up, make it a legit business, if you will. It's just good stuff to have taken care of, just in case we're talking about banks. Eventually, I'm going to make one of them mad, so we're going to make sure we're buttoned up and covered there. So that's the goal probably for the next quarter, get everything switched over, learn how to document properly, that whole thing. So not exactly fun stuff, but that is what I'm working on. So thank you, sir. All right, next up here, Mr. PK. I'm turning 18 next week. All right, well, happy birthday to you, man. If you comment, tell them happy birthday down below. So I'm going to apply for the Freedom Flex and was thinking of next quarter, if I don't use the category that they have, should I get the CFU or wait 6 months? So he's an authorized user. So, yeah, I think you play it out well, the problem with getting both of them is the current sign-up bonus, right? Because the current sign-up bonus on both cards is you get 5% back at grocery stores, up to $12,000 in spend for the first year. So you can not like the category and you can still pick up the Freedom Unlimited. Giving it 30 days or giving it a quarter, so let's just call it 2 months, I think is more than enough time. The only concern I'd have is, if you maxed out the grocery store, and again, you can buy gift cards, what have you, plus the $200 they give you, then you're looking at what, $800? And so I don't know that you'd be able to. I mean, if you were in your adulthood and had a family of 4 or 5, then I'm yeah, you can blow through groceries, no problem, on 2 cards. So that's the only real hang up I see, is getting it that close together, is the overlap in the sign-up bonus, because they're the same. I don't think there's necessarily an issue with having both cards 2 to 3 months apart. So, if you wanted to stick with Chase, depending on what your spend is looking like at this age, or someone can help you out with spend, I think you could even take a look at the ink cards with elevated offers, or maybe if you wanted, we'll see what happens with the Sapphire Preferred. But yeah, that's the big thing for me right there with that plan. It's just the bonuses are so similar that I don't know how you'd maximize both of them. But if you don't care and you just want the card and just getting the $200 is fine for you, then, yeah, I think that would be fine. But that would be the issue for me, just the similarity of the bonuses and trying to do them both. That's $24,000 in grocery spend in a year for a young man. Maybe eat a lot. I don't know. You got to eat to grow, but hey. Happy birthday, though, either way. Hope that helps. All right, they hate me. Do you see a refresh this year for the Chase Sapphire lineup? I feel like no. Not the Sapphire Preferred. I think they did a decent job on the Sapphire Preferred refresh. The only thing I don't like is that they hide groceries behind online. And I know there's some ways that people come up with in the comments that escape me at the moment to use groceries on it more easily. But Sapphire Preferred is pretty good because, again, the credit, the hotel credit, and then the travel perks and the CDW, I think is fine. I'm okay. I would like it if the Sapphire Preferred mirrored the City Premier card, and the fact that here's 4 really good multipliers and they're not tied to the portal. The Sapphire Reserve has never felt right after the fee increase. It just hasn't. And I think that's the one that needs another refresh. I know they kind of refreshed it before, but it really, again, just pushed you more to the portal. So I feel like that one, on one hand, we always say, hey, add United, some kind of United perk to it, add some kind of Hyatt status. Well, I don't think that Hyatt has any interest in doing that. And we also turn around and we say too many people have Hilton Diamond status and Hilton Gold, and too many people have, Marriott Gold now. So, I guess we can't have it both ways there. So the real question is, what do you add while still preserving the things and make it worth it? I think the answer is multipliers, but Chase has shown a propensity to like to force people through the portal because, again, they own their own portal, so you've got that full vertical integration. I thought pay yourself back. Even if you made pay yourself back at 1.25 and just made the categories rotating like the Freedom and the categories were good, I think that could be fine. It does need it does need something different though. Especially since Sapphire Lounges are on the Priority Pass network, which is shameful that you can get into the Sapphire Lounge with a Venture X card. Like, that's shameful to me. So, yeah, I mean, let me know what you want to see. I think the Sapphire Reserve, yes, Sapphire Preferred, I'd like to see it mirror the Premier. But, again, their strategy is going to be going towards the portal. So, I think it's fine given the insurances that it offers. All right, Red Sox Nation. Hey RJ, when will people understand that unfettered, unregulated, complete laziness? So, regular viewers of the show will find this funny. It's not that I'm mean to this guy. It's that what you don't know is that he actually went out of his way to ask me. He said, hey, when is the Q&A going up this month? I said, oh, it's going up in a day or so. And I thought he'd have a real question. And then we just have this. Abolish the federal government. You don't need to abolish the federal government. The federal government needs focus. They lack focus and discipline, right? We want to do 15 different things, but there's only a handful of things the government should be responsible for doing. And if that was the case, then I think it would be much better. Let alone that, we probably someone needs to go audit the archives and figure out why we have so many documents missing on both sides of the house. Like, that's also should be concerning. So I don't need to abolish the federal government. They just need focus, man. You can't do 38 different things. You don't have enough money for that. And you don't have enough power for that or, skill set. You need to manage a few things. Here's what we do. Here's what we don't do. Outsource the rest of it to people who know, and we would be much better off, in my opinion. I thought you had a real question, though, so that's what that head shake was for. All right, next up, back on track. Do you think the U.S. Curve card will ever support Visa or Amex? So Curve is a card that's been around in the EU for a while, I think. It's basically the one card to rule them all. So you can put all your other cards onto Curve card, and you can kind of control which cards you're using. I don't have it myself, but it's a neat idea. It's what we all kind of want. So right now, I think it just supports MasterCard over here. Visa, I don't know anything about it, like any behind-the-scenes details. Visa, I think in time, it will have to, unless Visa's trying to work on their own, would be the only thing. Or it could just be a simple debate of like, hey, where's my cut, where's your cut type thing. Amex, no, I don't think Amex really cares, wants to be involved with it that much. It just seems like American Express wouldn't want to do it. But if it's going to be successful, it would have to have Visa. I think it can live without having American Express or even Discover. You can put Discover in here, but it can live without having those two. But it would need Visa to really catch on. I think it's up to is Visa trying to make their own, but again, what partnerships do they have with all the other issues? That's the other thing I don't know about. Do issuers like this as well, or is issuers telling Visa no? Because we've seen issuers throwing their weight around with plastic. Plastic was invented. Plastic doesn't lie about who they are. They put it in the home page like, hey, you can earn credit card points using your card through our service. The issuers threw their weight around and said, no, we don't want you to be able to do all of this to all these purchases. So that's my biggest guess. It'll have to get Visa. Is Visa working on their own, or do the issuers and Visa have a thing where issuers are like, no, we don't want to do this? I don't know, because again, issuers could have done this already. Like, there's no reason I have to have 4 Freedom cards. They could put it all on one for me, but they don't want to make it too easy for us. All right, I don't even know if I answered that, but I don't think they will. So Denevitable, what are your thoughts on Hyatt program versus Hilton and Marriott? What do you value each Hyatt point? I will put up a valuation of Hyatt points for you. I haven't done too many Hyatt stays, honestly. I used to be a big Marriott person. Marriott doesn't really give you a whole lot with their gold status, I think was the issue. I had gold status on my own. I liked Hilton the most, but that was when Hilton had like the free breakfast with gold status, and it seemed to be at the majority of places. Marriott would have it some places, but Marriott, like if you do business travel, you stay at a lot of courtyards, right? And they always had like their little breakfast bistro thing, which wasn't comped breakfast. It was just, it was like, you got to pay for it. So I didn't really care for it that much. Last time I stayed at a Hyatt, it's been a while, but I was impressed. I did like it. It was in Manhattan, so prices were a bit much for me food-wise there, but you don't have to eat there. So prices, I don't know, because I went through FHR on that Hyatt deal, so I didn't actually redeem any Chase points. But I think Hyatt for status is probably pretty good now because the other ones are getting overcrowded. And back to our earlier point about the Sapphire Reserve, because you can spend your way to status sort of on the card, but you can't really shortcut Hyatt status the way you can these other ones. I think the Hyatt problem is like the other two have much bigger footprints. But I am becoming more of a Hyatt. I did have a run with Hilton. The breakfast credit thing kind of annoyed me a little bit. Marriott is kind of like, it's fine. I haven't had a bad experience at a Marriott, but they're like, to me, they don't really seem anything special, their program, unless you're getting up there in status. So I don't really answer your question, but that's kind of my thoughts. If you gave me the choice today, I'd probably go Hyatt, Hilton, Marriott, I guess, off of just like what I've seen in the places I've been staying at. Plus, I think Hyatt, if you're a Chase person, is really easy. But I do like Marriott because Marriott has crossed between Chase and American Express. So if you're playing the points game, then I might lean Marriott more because it opens up a wide range of cards that you can get. If you're just heavy Chase, then Hyatt. If you're heavy Amex only, then I think Hilton would probably be my way to go. All right. Ed Bailey here. Do you think Chase is relaxing 524 with business cards? I asked because I've been getting emails from them for Ink Business Cash and Preferred. He's currently at 724. So I don't think they're relaxing it. So my own data point to this is I picked up the Ink Preferred, and normally I have 4 Ink cards. Every single time for the first 3, I had to go through recon, no matter what. It got sorted out. This one I got instant approval on, which I was very shocked about. So I don't think they're relaxing 524 because it's 2 different departments, right? 524 becomes from risk management and underwriting, and then these emails come from marketing and sales. Marketing's job is to queue up people to become leads. Now it's somewhat annoying because you're like, why are you marketing to me if I can't get your product? Internally, right, it kind of depends on what kind of data points they're pulling in from their databases. And I'm thinking for them to know, so they could, if they had your profile, let's just say you applied for an Ink card 2 years ago, then, technically they would have your information as of 2 years, but they couldn't keep like soft pulling your credit to see where your 524 status is. So I think they just mark it to you because on their side, they're like, what does an email through Salesforce tool cost to blast emails out? Not that much given, what they're doing. And I'd rather send you an email and like, oh, you apply, you don't get in because of underwriting, but now I have updated information on you. So it's kind of a terrible customer experience, honestly, but I think that's what it is. Because again, sales would open you up every single Ink card you wanted. They don't care, but that's why they have risk management in place. So I don't think they're relaxing it, but we can clearly see there's a big push to get more Ink cards out there. A $900 bonus has been out there forever. Even before that, when I applied almost 2 years ago, $750 became the high offer off of $500, but then $750 became the standard offer. So half of me thinks $900 may become the standard offer. Again, back to our young man with the birthday, we've seen the Freedom cards keep their grocery offer for quite a while. Now that it doesn't even say new offer, I think it's just a standard offer. So I think there's just being overly aggressive or being aggressive. Rates are up, so people are still spending despite recessions. We've seen a lot of the bank bonuses lend themselves to banks wanting to bring in a bunch of new capital because they can lend it out. So I think that's what it is, honestly. I don't think they're saying like, hey, you can get in. There was that one report that 524 was waived at the end of the year, but that seemed very hit or miss. Your mileage may vary. So I think that's what it is. They just don't share data points or have updated data points the way you would think they do, especially with credit information, and that's why you get these emails. Would be my guess, but I haven't heard anything about 524 not being in place. All right. Evan Gibson, the man who taught me what based meant. So when do you think Discover will offer product changes, and what do you think they should offer? I don't think they're going to. I don't think they have any interest in it, honestly. I think most people know them for one card, the Discover at Cash. I know they have the Discover at Miles. It would be nice if they let you switch between the two, honestly, but usually with Discover, I think people end up picking like one side or the other. Should they offer more cards? I mean, probably it would be nice to see another competitor enter the market. I think I guess they think they're doing fine with just having the Discover It Cash. I know there's an NHL version. I don't think they have any plans to offer product changes. I don't think that's who they go after. I think they're trying to go after the person who just needs one card and just keeps using that card. As far as other cards that they could offer, they've got the 5X card. It might be nice to see them bring in a 2X card. Maybe they could be the first person to punch up to 2.5. They seem like someone who would go with the 1.5 card, try to match the Quicksilver card, honestly, but they just don't seem like they care about being overly competitive, honestly, so I don't think they'll do anything like that, really. Should, though. I'd like to see more competition. All right, Newbie Rising here, checking in. What do we got? I think Amex and Chase ecosystems target two different markets with very little overlap. Yet the CCs in their systems are often compared as of apples to apples. CSR versus Platinum. This is a mistake because it gets compounded with Capital One Venture X. Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think they're definitely two different target audiences. Chase is more, the banks, the companies as a whole, in my opinion, are trying to do two different things. To our earlier questions, and the Ink cards and the Freedom cards, like Chase is overly aggressive because they're like, I got stuff to sell you, man. I got deposit accounts, I got business services, I got merchant services, I got investment, I got private client, you name it, I got it. So if I can get you, the easiest way to get you in is with a credit card or a checking account, right? Amex, not so much. They take two different models. Amex very clearly decided, we know the Platinum card model didn't work for them before because they had to raise the price and they offset it with all the coupons. And they are going after two different people entirely. Chase says, the everyman card with a lot of no annual fee stuff, but it allows you to scale up, if you want to get into travel, but it's still not that scary to do. And then their points are also, they allow the same points currency, which makes things easier and friendly. American Express is a little bit more intimidating. MR points, you have to know what you're doing. Is it hard? No, but you have to know what you're doing. We see it in the coupons and the companies they work with, aside from the Walmart Plus. I know I've seen Chase offers for like Burger King. I think I've seen McDonald's on Amex like one time, but it's two different groups. I think, I don't think Amex puts that much focus on cash back. All their cards are expensive. They're clearly going for a urban city demographic where Chase is kind of open to anybody. And I don't think the comparisons are good. So I don't think I have a video comparing the Sapphire Reserve to the Platinum. The Sapphire Reserve almost compares better to the Gold card than anything else, because you drop off the $300 travel credit, then you got two $250 cards, or maybe even the green card a little bit. The Platinum is in a league of its own. I don't even care for the Platinum, but it's not, the Platinum is very hard to compare to any other card on the market. It's doing a totally different thing. It's trying to provide access to a different lifestyle. Whether you agree with it or not, I don't necessarily agree with it, but that's what they're trying to do. And one of the things I think we get wrong about American Express is, yes, this is about math and value and all of that, but, one market's lifestyle and access and things like that, and that can't be ignored. That clearly works. It makes people feel some kind of way and want it. So no, they're not really that comparable, but they're the two powerhouses in the game, so we do compare them. And there's a little I think points value, redemption options, travel partners are all fair comparisons, but the products themselves, I think, are pretty hard to compare. And I think it's based on their core business models. Now, we've seen American Express start to offer more. I mean, they've always had a bank, right? But start to push deposit accounts more. And I think American Express may realize they need to change a little bit, because it's much easier to walk in a branch. They don't have branches, but you know what I mean. Open up an account and, hey, do you want this no annual fee credit card? Open up a business account. Do you want this Ink Unlimited card with no annual fee? Versus, here's a bank account. Do you want a green, gold, or platinum card? I didn't come here to spend $150, right? Now, if a customer asks about that, great, but I think they might have to start looking at it a little bit differently if they want to do more of the cross-sell. So no, I fully agree with you. That's why we don't have a lot of comparisons on the show here. All right, a few more. Curmudgeon, thoughts on the new mobile wallet that big banks are working on to take on Apple Pay? Yeah, so like Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, they've kind of united to build an Apple Pay. Well, not just Apple gets the biggest, name recognition, but like a digital wallet, right? And, the banks have come together before. They made Zelle, and the early warning services runs that. And I think they're going to run the wallet as well. The biggest thing is, like, what's the value prop for the customer? Like, why? I have Apple Pay, and Apple does a really good job of it's on your phone, it's on your watch if you have one, it's on your computer if you're in the ecosystem. Even their little magnetic Apple Wallet will hold their card. And so I don't know why, like, what would a bank do to sway you away from using that? From here, just talking to you guys on the internet, it's very hard to get someone to change platforms, to go from this channel to the second channel, or go from this to reading a blog. It's very hard to do. And when I think about a bank, I don't think innovation. I think about people who understand the rules and they kind of hide behind, regulation and compliance and say, yeah, we don't really need to change because people have to come to us. But, they're probably tired of Apple working their way in there and taking a cut for what the banks see as providing little to no value, honestly. So, that's not surprising. The other thing I worry about is if I can't coerce, if I can't entice people to come, do I use the stick and say, all right, well, I'm going to start coding that any transactions that go through mobile wallets don't get the full amount of points. That could be a thing too, because adoption is just like the biggest thing. Chase had an app with a QR code that you would scan and you could pay. People call it Chase Pay or something like that, I think. And it was a category on the Freedom cards, and the only place I could ever find they took it was, oddly enough, Best Buy, but the people didn't know what to do with it. And it was just strange. So, I mean, yeah, they all have the money and the resources to do it, but, technology does a good job of making it part of our lives and building up the ecosystem. I don't know if the banks ever fully comprehend that. That's why some banks end up just partnering with neobanks, letting them handle the user interface. So I'm interested to see it, but I don't know. Banks don't have the best track record at this, in my opinion, honestly. So even Zelle, right? Zelle works fine, but like people like Venmo and PayPal's version better. They're arguably the same thing. I know Zelle can pay you quicker sometimes, but again, those companies kind of jazzed it up a little bit. You can see what your friends are paying. I find that stuff annoying, but people like it. So that's my thought. I'm going to keep my eye on it, though, for sure. All right, Shad here. What do you do for a living? Any future plans on making YouTube your sole job? Well, it's funny you should ask. Don't feel bad about this in any way for asking the question. Right now, this is actually all I do. So before this, I worked in mortgage, and mortgage just got hit with a ton of layoffs, which don't feel bad for me. They wrote me a check to just go sit at home and find another job. So this is what I do right now, but this is not enough to long-term pay the bills type thing. Well, it's enough to pay the bills, but it's not really enough to you would want more to do more. So to your question, though, so I guess what I do for a living, before that, I would be like a project manager, a continuous improvement person. So generally, if you came up and you're like, hey, I want to start a mobile wallet, you would tell me, and you're like, hey, it's going to be awesome, and then you would just go leave. And it was my job to figure out what happened from steps 2 to 9, with step 1 being the idea and step 10 being, look how awesome it is. I would figure out all of that. What's the process for it? What are the procedures? Who do we need to bring in to support this? How do we train the team? How do we launch it? How do we support it? That's all the stuff that I would do. Other stuff too, but that's like the best example of things. No one has asked me to make a mobile wallet, but if you're interested, let me know. So that's what I would normally do. Before that, I spent a lot of time in mortgage operations and appraisal departments, things like that. So, being a sole job, I think most people make their money selling those credit cards from creditcards.com, and I'm not opposed to that. I've actually applied to the program twice, and they don't return my calls, so I guess we know what they think of me. I don't think any finance people will tell you this. This really doesn't take that much time once you know what you're doing. If you want to admit that this video will take a long time, because we're already at 33 minutes. Some people are probably telling me to shut up, but I think this could be a good portion of what you do, and then the benefit here is that doing this frees you up to do other things besides being locked into the 9-to-5 schedule. Do a little bit of real estate. I've always thought it'd be cool. Back in my day in college, a lot of the professors, I went to school at night and on the weekends, they would be like, hey, I go do accounting for Ford, and then at night I come and teach you. I thought that would be a good job to try to get into. Some kind of teaching thing, at night. So you got a bunch of different flexible type jobs going. But, I have a good system here going. So, if you want to make a video start to scratch, maybe 4 to 6 hours, give or take, you don't need one every single day. I tend to work a few weeks ahead. So even if this was my only thing, I think I still need to find other stuff to do. The ultimate goal of this and making it into a company and all that is so you have the flexibility and the freedom to say, hey, now I choose what I want to do versus I have to work here. That's really what I'm going for. And if it turns into a full-time thing, it can support itself as a full-time thing, then amazing, but we're going through the freedom of choice, really. So there's that. Hector, this one's a bit off topic. What is your brokerage of choice for investing? So 3 more, by the way, in case you're keeping count. I was using Fidelity for a little bit, but I mentioned it earlier. I'm moving into Bank of America or Merrill Lynch, so I'll try them. I haven't used them yet. Not overly impressed by their interface or their portal so far, but we'll see. But Fidelity was decent. I did a little bit with Schwab. I didn't really care. I'll tell you what I hate. The Weeble and like the Moo that everyone promotes, I got affiliate links for those. And when I went into the apps for the first time, I was like, I'm not even going to bother. It's too busy, too much going on. I didn't care for it. But I don't do much investing or trading, honestly. I didn't mind Robinhood when I did it, honestly. Yeah, that was simple and clean and to the point. I didn't mind them. So I'll try Merrill Lynch when I get set up over there, see how that goes. But Fidelity, I thought Fidelity and Schwab were not too bad. My Schwab account's been closed. I think I used it in forever. And then when I was with Vanguard for a 401k, I thought Vanguard was decent. I didn't do any trading with them, but it's the interface and they manage their everything. Then I had Wealthfront for a while as well, but I didn't do much there as well. So I'll let you know how Merrill Lynch goes, but I think Fidelity was decent when I was doing it. So if anyone has any better recommendations, let our guy know down below. Probably not the best person to ask, but that's what I'd go with. Lawrence McKnight, how important is hotel and airline status to you? If you ever gotten status in either one or both? It's not important to the least bit to me. It's a nice to have. So I think this question varies though. So airline, if you fly all the time, then yeah, airline status is probably very important. If you fly a handful of times a year, I think airline flying isn't that fun. I mean, I don't mind. I like airports, but flying is uncomfortable and it's painful. We just kind of deal with it, right? So to get status is really hard. I know I'm never going to have airline status, so it's not that important to me. The amount of spend you have to put on these cards to get it, it's pretty tough. Hotel status, again, I've said this before, I don't stay at places where hotel status comes into play. My favorite perk was the Hilton breakfast. I value a gym. Are you close to my location? If I have a car, do you charge for parking? Those are the things I'm into the most. Now, all things equal, sure, I would take the hotels that ask Sebi reviews. Nothing against them. Those are objectively amazing, but I don't pay for them. So for that reason, I did earn Marriott Gold. I think I got an upgrade one time in New York, down a little ways down from the 9/11 memorial. But I check in, it's like 11 p.m. They're like, you want to go on a higher floor that overlooks like the Hudson. I mean, it was a nice upgrade, but it was because it was late, not because I had like a ton of status. It just, I earned gold from doing a few stays. But I think it's hype. I think it's hype unless you know what you're doing. Like if you go to these places and you value these things, then I think it's fine. But you just have to be sure that you're going to places where an upgrade means something. But then these companies also seem bent on devaluing their own status and then trying to claw it back. But I mean, we talked about it earlier. Everyone is Hilton Diamond. It's not that hard to get. So what does Hilton Diamond mean? And Marriott was going to do away with soft landings, but now they're doing soft landings because you want to kick people out, but you really don't because that could get rid of customers. And they've made all their money selling all these statuses, and now it doesn't mean as much. And that's why I think it is a bit overhyped unless you've truly earned it, things like that. For most people traveling, I really don't, unless you're a road warrior or you're constantly going places. I was going maybe 6 to 10 times a year at my peak of traveling, and I think you just deal with the airline. It's whatever, and then the hotel, just pick a nice one, try to redeem your points, but status for me doesn't really do a whole lot. Last one. I hope he watched this long, man. Baby Village. This is a very unpopular Wells Fargo question. I have the Wells Fargo Propel. It earns 3x in gas, restaurants, hotel stays, etc. I also have the Wells Fargo Visa Signature Rewards discontinued card that makes your points redeemable for 1.5 cents. Your travel only, so for travel only. So the 3X from the Propel is actually now 4.5 for those categories. Should I close the Propel and open the new Wells Fargo signature card? The difference being it is a Visa, and Visa is widely accepted overseas. Do they still have the Visa? I didn't think you could still get the Wells Fargo signature card. Open the new Wells Fargo signature. I mean, for Wells Fargo in general, I guess I would say, unless like you're like, hey, I'm really struggling to use this Propel card, I'd probably hold tight because they're still supposed to come out with new cards. And last time I checked, I'll try to see if I can find it and put it up. Their terms and conditions limit you to get like one bonus like every 18 months or something like that. They could have changed it. I'll put it up if I'm wrong. But okay, cutting back in here in edit, because now watching this back, I realized I think we were talking about the autograph card, which is a Visa signature card, not the old Visa signature card. This is the travel one. So, you know, I think because you can get a new bonus every 6 months, I think that would be fine if you want to stay in the Wells Fargo ecosystem, keep your free trifecta, if you will. You know, I think that could work. I mean, additionally, you could look at other travel cards too, but I mean, I don't think that's a bad deal. Also, I don't know that you have to close the Propel, but I mean, I guess at that point, I don't know there's a benefit in having both of them because they're kind of the same card. So, you know, yeah, I think that could work for you. And again, we'll see what Wells Fargo comes out with in the future, but at least for these terms, it's only 6 months between bonuses, so that shouldn't be too bad. But anyways, guys, that's been a super long one. That is all your questions answered. So, of course, if you need additional information, drop follow-ups down below for me. And, of course, you know, if you're bored on your flight, maybe you want to check out profitablecontent.com, which is the channel's blog where we're posting news and bonuses every single day. Anyways, guys, I thank you so much for watching and writing in. Again, hope I helped. Of course, write me down below if you need additional information. If you liked it, drop me a thumbs up. Of course, consider subscribing to the channel so we're posting just like this every week and right back here on Sundays with all the news you can use in the week that was in credit and finance. I already asked you a lot of questions, so we'll just close with this. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you very soon in the next one.